In this session, we are going to talk about an AI-powered client getting strategy, and more specifically, you will learn how you can get more clients faster using AI. And I have no one other than my good friend Ryan Levesque with me today. He's the 7-time Inc. 5000 CEO of the Ask Method company and the #1 national best-selling author of the books Choose and Ask. And very relevant for this session is also the co-founder of Bucket.io, which is the leading marketing automation platform for coaches, consultants, course creators, and hybrid experts with over 80 million end users worldwide, which is just mind-blowing. And we are going to get into some really good stuff in this session, like how you can craft your message from your market language, crafting your irresistible offer, even like how you can script a webinar and quiz funnels, and a whole lot more. Ryan is really good at this stuff, and you'll see how to use AI to actually do a lot of this a lot faster. This stuff used to take a long time before. So with that being said, warm welcome, Ryan.
Hey, Navid, it's awesome to be here and very, very excited to catch up and chat about this topic here today.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Ryan, let's get into it a little bit. I mean, we have done a lot of sessions over the years, and you're very focused, obviously, on quiz funnels. That's really powerful lead generation strategy. And we have other videos on YouTube about this, which we have done in the past. But now, when it comes to getting clients and leveraging this new AI technology, can you talk a little bit about how you got into this? Because we had Bucket.io for a while. So
Yes.
how did you figure things out to integrate more of this into the software and what you guys do?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, if I were to kind of just take a step back, I've really spent the last, I think, probably 15 years of my career focused on conversion online, generating leads and generating clients. And one of the most effective ways that I found in my career is to use the power of segmentation, personalization. Instead of trying to speak to everybody in a market in a one size fits all way, put people first into different buckets and customize your messaging, your marketing based on a person's situation. This is how we naturally communicate in person. If I'm going to talk to you, I'm going to learn a little bit about your situation before I start recommending what the best next step is for you, what product you should buy, what your best next step should be. And so we should all be doing this on our website. So we developed a technology called Bucket that enables you to do that. And to date, as you pointed out, we've had over 82 million people go through something called a quiz funnel. A quiz funnel is when someone lands on your website, instead of trying to sell to them right away, you begin by asking a series of questions, much like a quiz, to better understand who they are so you can personalize your messaging and your marketing. And as it's a great marketing stat, 82 million people just happens to be about 1% of humanity. So 1% of the 8 billion people on planet Earth have gone through this process, have gone through this technology to do that. So that's kind of backdrop for our conversation here today. Now, there's another force that's sort of been at play this entire time, which is this concept that we teach. It's a concept that we focused a lot around. It's something that's been instrumental to our success as a company and certainly to our client success. And it's this idea that your message should come from your market, not from your mind. Your message should come from your market, not from your mind. What that means is the most effective way to get your message out there is not trying to invent something new or come up with some buzzword or phrase that you've invented. Instead, the most effective approach is to listen intently on the language that your market is already using to express their challenges, their problems, their desires, their goals, and then use that messaging in your marketing, echoing it back instead of inventing it. Now, the challenge historically is the way that we get this messaging is by doing things like surveys and focus groups and customer interviews where we can actually pull this information, this language from our market. Now, if you've got a big, long, large email list that you can send out a survey to, you can get hundreds or thousands of responses. But for the vast majority of creators, the vast majority of coaches, consultants, people who have small businesses, we don't have access to that type of audience. So the question is, where do you find this language? Up until now, that was a very manual process. You did it through something called a deep dive survey, where you would research your market. You would do what's called a classic deep dive survey, where you do a bunch of interviews and surveys. You do a lean deep dive survey, where you get a few people on the phone, or what we call a stealth deep dive survey, which is where you go to like a Facebook group and you just kind of like play Sherlock Holmes and spy on what are the conversations that are already happening. But no matter which approach you use, it's a very time intensive and labor intensive process. Fast forward to this moment in time here today, and this brings us to AI. When OpenAI invested the time, effort, money, and energy, and followed by Bing and the other large language models that exist in the world, they went through this process of doing a deep dive analysis on language that's being used across the internet in a massive multitude of different scenarios. So instead of having to do the primary research ourselves to figure out, for example, when it comes to growing your business, what's your single biggest challenge, and doing that research yourself, that work has already been done. So what we've done is we've connected the data that we've gathered, the insights that we've picked up, having over 82 million human beings going through one of our surveys on our platform at bucket.io, going through one of the quiz funnels on bucket.io. And we've married that to the data that OpenAI, through its API, has access to, combined it together. So now instead of having to do that deep dive survey work to get the message from your market instead of your mind, with just a few pushes of a button, you can instantly determine the challenges, the desires, the frustrations, the sales objections in any market for any product in just a matter of seconds. So that's like the first little domino that's fallen that's made this new AI getting client strategy something that we can all take advantage of.
Yeah, Ryan, I'm excited about this because we can dissect this a lot to actually dive deeper how to do this, because it's like you wrote something like in your notes, but like craft your message from your market language. And yeah, it was very difficult before. It was not so easy to do it if you're starting out. But before we get into that, like define what I said in the intro about hybrid experts, because some people are, what is a hybrid expert, right? Because that's a language you typically use a lot. Maybe you even coined the term. I don't know where it's coming from, but it makes total sense. So I let you describe that, and then we'll get into how you use AI to craft this message for your market.
So this is a term that we introduced, and I'll tell you the reason why we introduced this term, hybrid expert. So we were in this situation where we found ourselves increasingly surveying creators who were doing a multitude of different things in their business. Like if you're watching this or listening to this right now, maybe this describes you. You might do some writing in your business, but you're not just a writer. Maybe you do a little bit of consulting, but you're not just a consultant. You might do some coaching, but you're not just a coach. You might have a course, but you don't necessarily just consider yourself to be a course creator. Maybe you do some public speaking, whether it's live in person or virtually like we're doing right now, but you don't really consider yourself to be a speaker. So you kind of do all of these things, but you're not any one of them. You can do a hybrid of different things in your business. And at the same time, you're leveraging your experience and your expertise in whatever your chosen field is, whether that's a health related field, a business related field, or whatever space that you help people in your business. And so combining these two concepts together, a hybrid expert refers to someone who does several different things in their business as a way to transform that expertise that you've accumulated in your life into some form of income, into some type of business. So that's where the term comes from, Navid, and that's really what it means. And as we started to roll out this term and introduce it more and more, we've seen more and more people who identify as falling into that situation. They've said, yeah, I'm not just a coach. I do some of that, but that's not all that I do. I'm kind of several different things here, and I do a bit of a hybrid. So that's where that term comes from, and that's the meaning behind that term.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, you're a hybrid expert. I'm a hybrid expert. We're doing different things, right? I think that's most people, and of course, most people can also use something like a quiz funnel, which it's smart to position it this way, because then you put people within a word that you coined. I think it's pretty genius. Actually, it's great to do that. But let's get into actually how do you use AI to craft? Let's say you don't know what market you have, like what market you serve, the language to use. How do you use AI to actually craft this message and kind of get started from the very beginning there?
Yeah, if it's okay with you, will it work if I share my screen?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's share the screen here, Ryan. So let's do that.
All right,
I'll just put you up here.
great. I'm on right now. And this, by the way, is constantly changing. So it's likely if you were to go to the website bucket.io, so that's bucket dot the letters IO. If you were to go to the website, it's probably going to look different than what you're seeing right here. And the reason for that is we're constantly rolling out new features, testing new ideas, and we have different versions of the website live at any one time. You can see right here, Bucket, very, very proud of the fact that the men and women working incredibly hard to roll out this AI technology were recently recognized by the Inc. folks at the Inc. 5000 list as a 3-time Inc. 5000 fastest growing company in and of itself. So teams work really hard to make that happen. You can see right here, what we're talking about is this integration between OpenAI's technology and Bucket, two technologies combined together in a unique way. And so what I'm going to do, if you bear with me one second, is I am actually going to log in to Bucket and I'm going to the homepage. Now, Bucket, just to set the stage, Bucket is a tool that does a whole bunch of different things. It's a tool that replaces your need for a funnel builder, replaces your need for a page builder, replaces your need for a shopping cart. You can build your entire website through Bucket. You can build quiz funnels, survey funnels. You can build forms and every sort of thing that you can imagine in terms of generating leads and generating clients in your business. And the tool integrates with a whole bunch of different technologies that you might be using, like the tool that you use for sending your email. You can integrate with your Facebook account to build audiences on Facebook, your Google Analytics account to build custom audiences that you're serving and segmenting on YouTube and on Google's ad platform and so on and so forth. But today, what I want to focus in on is not the building capabilities of Bucket, which is all about building pages and building websites, but the design functionality inside of Bucket. And we're going to look at something very specific called AI blueprints. Now, one of the challenges, Navid, that we saw was that no matter what type of page you might be building, and I'll just show you an example of this, whether it's for example, a quiz like this one right here, talking about a quiz funnel. Here's a template for a quiz. Find your real estate money path. Take the 60-second quiz to find out what is the number one thing driving your real estate wealth. So this is an example of what a quiz funnel looks like. I'll show you an example of what, for example, a webinar funnel might look like. So if I go to, let's see, this one right here, this will take us to an example of a webinar registration page. This one has a non-video page, just a simple landing page for creating a webinar. What we found is that no matter what type of asset you might be creating in your business, whether it's a webinar page, whether it is a quiz page, whether it is the webinar itself, whether it is any piece of content, is coming up with the copy, the creative, so that your message comes from your market, not from your mind, is what holds so many people back. You look at a blank screen, you're like, all right, how do I actually create this? But at the same time, you don't want to just show up and just invent some language that you've come up with in thin air. You don't want to just make up a headline. You don't want to just make up the bullets that you put on your sales page. That language should come from your market, not from your mind. This is where Bucket AI's blueprints enter into the fold. When you're creating a blueprint is a way, and I'll walk you through this process, whereby you can, for example, come up with your entire market message, build an entire irresistible offer, design a delivery program. So you can actually design a course or a membership. You could script out an entire enrollment presentation. You could build a funnel that's designed to attract leads, a quiz funnel. You could write email sequences. You could create a bundle. You could do very specific campaigns like something for Black Friday. And this just scratches the surface. So we'll start with market message. So market message, you'll see right here, is by answering a few simple questions. Like, for example, how would you describe your role? So the first thing that you want to inform when you're working with any sort of AI application is AI in many ways. And I know you know this, but just for everyone here, AI is like a garbage in, garbage out technology. The technology is only as good as the inputs, the guidance that you provide it. So if you don't have a clear set of instructions that you give your AI tool that you're using, you're not going to get the type of output that you want to get out of it. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to give AI a role. And in this case right here, we're giving AI the role that we want it to play. If you're trying to serve people in the real estate space, as the language here implies, we want to let AI know that, okay, you are going to play the role, just like an actor in Hollywood. You're going to play the role of a real estate investment advisor. So now what that's going to do is AI is going to start pulling from language that only a real estate investment advisor would know about. Versus if you are in a health market, and let's say that you help people lose weight, and let's say that you are a certified nutritionist, the role that you want to give AI is the role of a certified nutritionist. So they can play that part and pull from expertise that only someone with that experience, that expertise would be able to provide. So in this case right here, if I type in real estate investment advisor and I click save and continue, I'm going to be entering a few different places. Okay, next thing that we want to know, as we're trying to figure out the message from our market, not from our mind, is what is the niche that we want to serve? Who are we focusing on in this market? for example, if you are in the residential real estate investing market, we want to pull from natural language that exists in that market. Similarly, if you're helping people lose weight after having a baby, you're going to want to say, I'm in the postpartum weight loss industry as an example. So here we're going to choose residential real estate investing. And I'm going to kind of move through this relatively quickly. And then you want to identify who's your ideal customer. So again, we're getting closer and closer to the language that these type of people, this exact type of person is actually saying. So if I'm serving married couples in their 30s and 40s who have some equity in their home, they may not have already acquired a residential investment property. They're looking to grow the real estate portfolio by adding another property in the next 12 months or less. What's happening now is we're able to go to the large language models and say, give me what this population of people is actively expressing as a problem or frustration that they are facing in the world right now. Not just generic problems that exist in the world, but people in their 30s and 40s, couples who are looking to invest in real estate. So if I go right here and I'm just going to copy and paste this language because this is the example that I have pulled up, and I save and continue. Then what's the topic of the product or service that you're looking to help people with? So what are you selling? Especially if you're in a creative space, are you helping people learn the first 5 guitar chords that everybody needs to play, how to have difficult conversations with your team, using your tax dollars to fund your next investment property, whatever it may be. I'm going to use the language right here, how to get your next investment property. And when it comes to your customer's language, this is where things start to get really, really cool. Let's say in our kind of conversation that we had already, you have some language that you want to pull from. Let's say you've done a survey and you want AI to analyze those survey results. As a human being, it's really, really difficult and challenging to go, and you've gone through this process, Navid, probably multiple times in your multiple businesses over the last however many years. You know what this process is like. We're trying to analyze the different buckets of people. What are the themes that are showing up? What are the challenges that people are running into? Doing that work is not easy work. Ideally, you are a professional statistician. You've got an advanced degree in math. You need to know how to use technology like SPSS or SAS.
Yeah. By the way, Ryan, before, wasn't it like you had, I remember, if I remember correctly, you used like a word cloud, right? And just seeing kind of what words your market is using. I had like a VA go through this, but it was a tedious process. Now with the AI, it took so much time. I swear it took a lot of time.
So you can still do that. You can, if you've got a survey that's used in like your account, if you're using Bucket, you can connect directly to that survey. If you have a file, let's say that you've exported that data, you can do that. And you can do that for any sort of data. You could do that for call transcriptions. Let's say that you have sales calls with your clients and you want to know, what are the themes that are coming up over and over again? We as human beings are not really well equipped to answer that type of question. Or maybe you've got a Facebook group, a community, where you just want to mine the data in that community. You can just grab that content, upload it into your Bucket account right here. You can paste it below if it's short text, and you can analyze that data. Or you can say, you know what? I don't have a data set. I want to take advantage of the large language models that exist in the world. And I want to specifically know what residential real estate investing in this space, married couples in their 30s and 40s who have blah, 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 and who are interested in getting their next investment property. I can just click this button right here and I can generate in just a matter of seconds. What are the top challenges that exist in this market for this specific segment of the world? So what's happening right now is the technology is diving into, again, the 1% of humanity, the 82 million people who have gone through this process before inside of Bucket, plus the vast amount of data that OpenAI and other large language platforms are able to feed. We're analyzing this right here. You can take a look at what the results are in just a matter of seconds. So instead of doing this analysis yourself, which as you pointed out, you had your VA do it, very tedious, take a look. So these are actual real life challenges that people are struggling with in this space. So lack of time and expertise. And this language that you see right here, I'll zoom in a little bit to make it a bit more legible. These are actual real life quotes from people in this space who are in this target demographic to provide evidence of this theme. Lack of time and expertise, you can see right here. Someone wrote, we both have demanding jobs and managing our current investment property is already taking up a lot of our time. We're not experts in real estate investing and we feel overwhelmed by the process of finding and acquiring another property. We're worried about making a bad investment due to our lack of knowledge and experience. You can see right here in just a matter of seconds, I know exactly what the challenges are in this market. I can also, if I go through this process and continue, I can identify the top five, the desires, the objections, and much, much more. Now, this, what I've just showed you right here, and I'll show an example of this. If I go to my market message, let me take a look at, let's look at this one right here. Here's an example of what the output looks like. I know the challenges, objections, the desires of this particular market, but this in and of itself, while it's interesting, is a starting point. It's not an ending point. Because with this information right here, I can then go on to go through the step of, let's build an offer. Let's create an offer that's designed to serve that specific segment of the market. So the way I do that is I'm going to pull from my market message blueprint, the work that we just did a moment ago. I'll click on this one right here. And then with this, I can then, in just a matter of seconds, build out everything from the bold promise, the duration of the offer, naming the product, the price, the features, the benefits, the bonuses, and much, much more, all based on the language from the market and not from our mind. So in this case right here, if I'm looking to create a product, what is something that this market is going to respond to? Well, we want to mine, again, the challenges, the desires that that market actually has, as opposed to just trying to sell something that we think people are going to want to buy. You can see right here, bold promise, scripted, all based on that market message. How to achieve financial security and stability through real estate investing without overwhelming challenges of finding the right location deals, even if you're unsure if you've got enough money to invest in another property. This is pulled directly from the language that we just mined a few seconds ago, going through that market message process. So by the end of this process, if I go through my irresistible offer right here and I take a look at one of these examples, I'm able to create an entire product in just a matter of seconds. Bold promise, the duration, the pricing, the features and benefits that have proven to work, the actual bonuses, the price point, what the positioning of those bonuses is step by step, all the features, all the benefits, reason to act now, the mechanism to buy, and much, much more. So now
Just one
it's just a
question
matter
on
of
this,
seconds.
Ryan. Just one question on this. Like what, like so for people who might not understand what is an irresistible offer, the way you would describe it? Like really, what is included in this? Because still, you would have to identify. Yeah, you're using AI to come up with it, but you would also have to know what great copy is to identify it. So, what is a really good irresistible offer? The way you do it in your business, right?
That's a great question. So if we take a step back, an irresistible offer is an offer that's so good that it's impossible for someone to say no to. Meaning you put it in front of people and they say, I would be an idiot not take advantage of this offer. And when we say offer, what does that mean when we define that term? The offer that you put out in the world, and in many businesses, you will have many offers. We have many offers in our business. You've got many offers in your business. Many people have many offers. The offer that you put out there in the world is the way in which you present the product or service that you are selling and combine that with the features that are included in that product or service, the benefits that you get access to by making that purchase, the bonuses that one has access to, the terms and conditions, the guarantee, risk reversal, reason to act now, all of these things combine to make your offer. So, for example, if I were to say this phone right here, my iPhone, this is a product. This is not an offer. This is a product. But if Apple were to do a deal, or Verizon or Sprint or any one of these American cell phone carriers were to do some type of promotion, as an example, where they're saying, all right, when you buy an iPhone here today, you're going to get a year of Netflix for free. Plus, we're going to do a trade-in for your existing phone and credit you against the new phone that you're looking to buy. And when you buy in the next 24 hours, we're also going to throw in a free bonus iPhone case, and you can choose your color just for making the purchase right now. That's an example of an offer. The phone is the product, the packaging, the wrapping that we put all around this product with all the other elements that we've just described, that in turn makes the offer. And people do not buy products. They say yes to offers. And that in and of itself is a super powerful lesson that as a creative, as a creator, we all need to internalize. People do not buy products. They do not buy services. They say yes to offers.
Huh.
So the way to make more money is to make better offers.
A lot of creators, Ryan, very big mistakes because they just put it on like a cart. They just put like the pro. It's not like an offer with, I know you are a master at this and we're going to get into a little bit more with how you're using this, but you put like bonuses, you're stacking things, etc. And people are like, wow, this is amazing. You do the same. Like, it's not only for Black Friday, it's like for any launch or promotion or evergreen, you have a great offer there. And I think creators or anyone basically could learn a little bit more about that, because when you're going to, I just got the latest iPhone. Basically, I don't know, they had like a deal that you got like a discount or something if you bought with this provider a little bit earlier or something like this. It was before the launch or whatever. So I got a deal on it, and I think that disappeared afterwards. That's an offer, and that's what you described here. So something very open, and so everyone can just get it how it works.
There are at least 17 elements that make an irresistible offer.
All right.
And we don't have time to go into all those elements, but you
Sure.
touched on them right now. One of the most important ingredients of an irresistible offer is that there needs to be a reason to act now. And there are two levers that you have as a marketer, as a creator, as a creative in your process. We call them urgency and scarcity. So scarcity is when you have something that there's a limited number of. And this can be done in a product basis. We only have 100 of these iPhones. Here are the boxes right here. First come, first serve. That's one way to approach it. If you are a service provider, if you're a coach, consultant, a speaker, one of the things that's incredibly effective is the scarcity of your time. So if you're a coach, you only have so many hours in a week where you can accept clients. So there's a certain scarcity. Your time, your availability is very, very scarce. So one of the things that you can do to make your offer irresistible is say, I am only opening up 2 spots right now for 2 clients. That's it. First come, first serve. And the reason for that is that's all the time I have available in my schedule to take on new clients. That's scarcity. There's another mechanism, which is urgency. Urgency is where you are creating an environment where people need to take action because there is a time deadline where something is going to be either taken away, removed, or the price is going to change. So we've been able to secure a special opportunity where when you move forward in the next 24 hours, here's what we can do, right? I was just having this conversation today in a fundraising context. And so we're talking about how do we raise more funds for this project? And one of the ideas that I put forward to the group was I said, let's do this. What if we were to do a matching campaign where any funds that are raised between now and let's pick, a date and 2 weeks from now, in the next 2 weeks, we will match those funds dollar for dollar. What does that do? What it does is it creates urgency for the people who are doing the fundraising. They're thinking, gosh, we got to raise as much money as possible in the next 2 weeks. So they have a reason to go out to their constituents and say, hey, we have this donor who's going to match any funds dollar for dollar for any commitments, any pledges in the next 2 weeks. So it creates urgency for them to take action. It also creates urgency for the people who are considering donating. Because if you've ever thought about donating for a cause, typically what happens is what? You get excited about it. You get emotionally invested. You think this is something that I'm going to do. And then life gets in the way, right? You've got your day-to-day stuff. And you're like, yeah, I'll get. But as a potential donee, as someone who might be donating to this cause, knowing that if you make the decision in the next 2 weeks that someone else out there is going to match you dollar for dollar, meaning every dollar you donate is actually going to be $2. They're going to double what it is that you donate. That's hugely motivating for the person who's looking to potentially give money now. Because without that urgency, there's no reason to take action. So of the 17 ingredients, reason to act now, that's one of them. And the two kind of levers that we have is urgency and scarcity. Now, where does AI come into play? AI, looking at I'll pull it up right now. Let's see, I'm selling a course. Duration of my offer, let's say 6 weeks. What's the name of my offer? I'm just going to enter that manually. Navid's awesome course is the name of it. That's a bestseller. I'm going to charge $1,000 for this. Features and benefits. Okay, I can come up with some different possible options for this. I might have a community with my course. Maybe I'll do some support, some one-on-one. I'll offer this for the duration of the program. And I'm not going to do any done-for-you software resources, save and continue. I can use AI to brainstorm what these features and benefits might be. I'm going to just enter this manually for now and skip this step in the process. Just do like this, test. value. I'm going to say that's worth 5. I can do the same thing with my bonuses. So for example, I'll show this just to illustrate this point. Bonuses are another one of these ingredients of an irresistible offer. This is something that's worth writing down. I learned this from one of my mentors early in my career. I never forgot this lesson. It's this: people buy for the bonuses. People buy for the bonuses. What that means is we put our heart and soul into our core program, our core product. But what we don't realize is that the reason that people actually decide to say yes to our offer is not because of what's in the core. It's the extra things that we throw into the mix, what we position as bonuses. The classic example of this from like the 1980s was Sports Illustrated had its most successful campaign as a magazine company. If you remember magazines like back in the day, when they introduced the football phone. So there was this phone for everyone old enough. You may remember this. There was a phone in the shape of a football that they gave away as a bonus when you subscribed to Sports Illustrated. That football phone bonus was the most successful campaign that they had in the history of the magazine company. And it wasn't because the magazine changed. It wasn't because there were better pictures, better articles, better anything. It's because they threw in a stupid football phone and people subscribe like crazy. People buy for the bonuses. So if we use, oftentimes though, the challenge is when it comes to brainstorming your bonuses, what should your bonuses be? You could figure that out on your own, or let's use the power of AI to just brainstorm what are some potential bonuses that we might include in Navid's awesome course on securing wealth and building your financial future through real estate investing. I skipped a few steps right here, so I'm not sure what the output is going to be, but taking a look at that, taking a look at what the market has told us about real estate investing, our target market of couples in their 30s and 40s who are looking to find their next residential real estate investment property. We can now dig into all of that content, all of that market language, the desires, the challenges, the frustrations. And then with that, through this process, in literally just a matter of minutes, we can identify some bonus possibilities. So here are some options. How about the Financial Freedom Blueprint? The description: this bonus provides a step-by-step guide to securing financial growth and stability through real estate investing, covers strategies for maximizing returns, creating passive income, building a diversified portfolio, benefits. Learn proven tactics for finding and acquiring profitable investment properties. Gain expert advice on identifying high growth areas. Access valuable insights into market trends, property values, and potential rental incomes. Or how about this one right here? The time-saving property finder. Smart financing strategy. So if you've ever invested in real estate, financing is a big part of it. The investment potential analyzer, so how to analyze different investments. Property management mastery. Yeah, if you're going to be investing in residential real estate, you might have to manage that property. You might have tenants that you have to manage. Market insight navigator. So these are just things that AI has helped us brainstorm as possible bonuses that we might include into the mix. So if I'm going to pick one of these, like I'll just take Market Insights Navigator, and I'm just going to copy and paste some of this language, and I can override anything here. If I say, you know what, I'm not going to include it as it stands right here. I might put a value of, I'm going to say $300 as my value for this thing. And I could continue on this path of adding bonuses, save and continue. Going back to the conversation we're having just a moment ago, what about reasons to act now? You might be sitting there right now thinking, but how do I create a reason to act now? How do I get people to take action for my offer? It's a question you should be thinking about right now. If you've got something that works great for you, you could enter that manually in this space right here, or let's just tap into the power of AI to help us brainstorm some possibilities. How can we make people want to buy Navid's awesome course that we've just come up with here on the fly for securing your financial future and building wealth? What are some reasons to act now that we could come up with just using the power of AI to get people to take action now as opposed to procrastinate? Because another thing one of my mentors once told me, Navid, and you've probably heard this phrase before, is that delay is the death of the sale. Delay is the death of the sale. So what that means is when you have someone in a state, an emotional state where they are prepared to take action, they're ready to buy, they're ready to move forward, you want to capitalize on that state.
But Ryan,
Put
what's really interesting, I just wanted to touch upon something which I just thought about, because you have, what I like about in the dashboard of Bucket, you actually have questions, and it makes it easier for people because you have already designed what then irresistible offer should look like in like the way you describe it, so people don't need to think as much. If you're going to, you can of course go to ChatGPT, yeah, and then hopefully you have, if you're using it, have the plus plan, but then you can put in a lot of this information we are talking about. But I think just using Bucket in this case makes it a lot easier and faster to do it. You can maybe describe a little bit.
Yeah, it's a great point. Everyone always wants to know, can I just do this in Chat
Yeah.
GPT? There are few limitations. So number one of the things that you cannot do in Chat GPT is you cannot upload a large data set to analyze directly. If you've ever tried to work in Chat GPT and you copy and paste anything of any significance, you're going to exceed the character count limit to be able to analyze that information. So for example, let's say that you wanted to analyze call transcripts, or you have a Facebook group and you want to just grab all the conversations and put it in a Google Doc and then upload that to Chat GPT. You can't. You cannot do that. You can only do that with maybe a few paragraphs of text, if that. You can't take tens of thousands. You can't take a book and upload that book to Chat GPT and say, what are the top 5 most important lessons learned? With Bucket AI, you can. So that's the first big difference. You can take a large data set, upload it, and use that as your point of analysis. That's the first thing. Second thing is there are layers and layers and layers of prompts within prompts that are happening behind the scenes in what you've just seen in just the last few moments. We go back to this thing, you'll see right here.
Just one thing so people get it. I think what is interesting, of course, we have other sessions they talk about prompting, and I think it's important to at least know the basics of it. But when you're going into something like what Ryan is showing here with Bucket, you actually don't need to be a prompt engineer or like you don't need to be skilled at this. You can be pretty much a beginner, just going in, answering a few questions, and just getting great output, because you're actually going to think, okay, what is the answer to this question? You're putting great input, so you get great output. That's what we talked about before. So yeah, let's get back to the sketch.
Yeah, it's equivalent to if you've ever coded a website by hand. So those of us old enough to remember, I remember this. The first websites I built, I had to learn CSS and HTML and JavaScript. That's how I built my first website. Today, nobody does that. You just use a software and you just use a drag and drop builder, use a tool like Bucket and just like, all right, I'm going to drag this picture and drag this text and then make it this color and I'm done. It wasn't like that 10, 15 years ago. And similarly with ChatGPT, you're required to learn how to code. You're required to learn how to interface with the technology in a way that you have to spend a lot of time building that skill. And just like with computer coding, there are some people that will be their profession and that's the thing that they'll be good at. But for many people, certainly the people that we work with, the clients that we work with in our business, their expertise is in an area other than coding. They're not a technology focused individual. In other words, they might be someone who is an expert at sales or an expert in losing weight, an expert in relationships. They might be a therapist. They might be a coach. They might be an author in a topic. And they want to use technology in their business, but they don't want that to be the only thing that they know how to do. It's like akin to if you've ever driven a car. Yes, you could learn how to deconstruct the engine in that car. Most people, they just want to know that the car is going to get them from where they are now to where they want to go. And so this process that we're looking at right now is an example of that. I just refreshed my screen here and you'll see that these are some of the options, the reasons to act now that are Brainstorm, right? Limited enrollment opportunities. Secure your spot in Navid's awesome course before enrollment closes. Exclusive opportunities only available to the first 50 married couples who move forward here today. Reason to act now. Early bird pricing is ending. Reason to act now. Exclusive founding members access. Reason to act now. Bonus packages expiring here today. We've got maybe 24 different possibilities that we could use right here. Now, let's say, for example, talking about prompt engineering, you're like, you know what? I don't like these examples that have been given to me. I'd like to refine it a little bit further. Or maybe you're saying, like, for example, can you give me these examples in a different language? Maybe you don't operate your business in English. You could literally just hit this refine button right here and say, can you please, I always like to say please and thank you to our AI robot overlords.
Treat it as a human, it's good.
Yeah. Would you please translate these responses or these options, I might say, these options above into, I don't know, Spanish. And you can hit the refine button right here and you can get a new set of results based on what you've said. So whether you want to translate something into a new language, whether you want to, can you give me some options that assume the course is a physical course and there are only 100 boxes that I'm able to sell? So you can put constraints into the mix and give people the opportunity to work within those, to give the AI the opportunity to work within those constraints and come up with several different options. Going through this process as this kind of works in the background right here, you're literally following these guided steps. And as I've demonstrated right here, I have to stay within this tab, so I'm going to exit out for just a moment. This is not just about creating a message or an offer. Let's say, for example, you want to create an entire enrollment presentation. Similarly, I could take the work I've done, and through this process, I can literally script out an entire enrollment presentation. So here's an example of one that's in the middle of being baked. If you think about like a cooking show example right here. So I've got, from all the work that we've been doing based on the offer, based on the market, I'm able to script out an entire webinar. You could script out an entire summit with this
Wow.
process that you see right here.
Is this like more like a sales webinar? This is like a sales webinar where you get clients from it. So you're teaching something for a little bit, like for like maybe 30 minutes to 45 minutes, and then you have like pitch towards the end. Is that kind of what you're talking?
Exactly. And just like you pointed out, instead of just being on your own with a blank piece of paper, this is a guided process. You can see right here, this particular process has 27 different steps. Good luck trying to do this through ChatGPT. So right here, we're scripting the welcome and introduction. So this is an introduction. Hey, it's welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm absolutely thrilled to have you here. My name is Delia. This is for a project that we're working on where Delia is the speaker. Delia is a property investment advisor. It's my pleasure to guide you through this process. I'm going to walk you through a proven strategy. Next up, we need a stick strategy. Because when you're doing an enrollment presentation, you need something that's going to get people to stick around all the way to the end. Plus, I'm going to show you how to get this free gift that's well over $5,000. Help you get started right here, right now, today. Let's get through some logistics. So now we've got the logistics all scripted out. We're going to talk about the single most important thing, the single most important step to aligning your real estate investments with your long-term financial aspirations. So we make a case for why what we're talking about is the single most important thing. And then we have language that explains this is for you if you're in any one of the following situations. We talk about the challenges. So all of these key elements are critical for not only capturing attention, but maintaining attention. And most importantly, converting people into your offer, getting people to sign up for your product or service at the end of the experience. So what I've shown you here is like a taste. It's a taste of what you can do, whether you're creating a quiz funnel and you're trying to figure out like what questions to ask in your quiz, a webinar where you're looking to actually script out the entire enrollment presentation step by step. But if you're looking to get clients, if you want to get more clients, more customers, more sales, I have not been as excited about a technology as far as I can remember for as long as I've been doing this, which is going on 15, almost 20 years now in this space, than I have been with the power of AI, knowing writing a webinar is something that would take me probably weeks to come up with on my own. Being able to do what we're just showing and talking about here in this conversation in literally just a matter of minutes is like having a time machine. It's
Right,
pretty
Ryan,
awesome.
it's pretty crazy because I've seen I've been in your space for a long time. We've known each other for many, many years, and I've seen a lot of your webinars and the things you're doing. When I'm seeing kind of what you're explaining, it's kind of like you're basically, it looks like almost you have trained the AI like behind the scenes with the prompts and different things you've given it, like with your team and when you built the platform. So it's basically spitting out really good things based on the input you're giving it, basically. That's kind of what I see. Like it looks like looks like a webinar you would do, basically. That's what I mean. Like it's basically the elements of the webinar and the elements of the bonuses looks like something that would convert basically Ryan style. Yeah.
We've done in the last 15 plus years, we've done over 1,000 webinars in our business. So we've taken, so to your point, one of the things that we've done, and we've trained our clients. We've taught countless clients that we've worked with in the last decade plus through that process. And what we've done is we've taken the most successful of those webinars, both in our business and with the thousands of clients that we've served. We've served over 14,000 clients. So we've had over 14,000 businesses that we've worked with in the history of our company that have, I'm not talking about people who have bought a book. We've had hundreds of thousands of people who have bought our books. These are 14,000 people who have spent thousands or tens of thousands of dollars with us to work with us in a close way in our business. And we've taken the most successful quizzes, the most successful webinars, the most successful campaigns, the most successful sales letters, both in our business and our clients' business. And we've used that to train the AI to develop the path that we just looked at a moment ago as one example for constructing these elements. When I think about just how far technology has come in the last few years and what we're now able to do, I just think about like early in my career when I was a much younger guy and I didn't have the beard that I have now, and I didn't have the gray hair and I didn't have the kids and the family and everything like that. I just think about like I would be spending 80-hour weeks, 100-hour weeks, just building these assets by hand, just coming up with it on my own without any of these frameworks, without any of this technology. And to be able to do what you're able to do now in literally a matter of minutes, it is like that my 25-year-old self would not believe that this would be possible, I think, even within my lifetime. So I'm so excited about this. And I think what it's done is it's created this window of opportunity, because there are some people who are taking advantage of this right now as we speak. And I can tell you, we have clients that are literally rolling out webinars and quizzes and offers right now as we speak. And then there are other people who are a little bit behind the times. And I can tell you, just from the view that we have and the thousands of clients that we serve, that there's virtually not a single market or industry where people are not using this technology. So what that means is, if no matter what space you're in, I don't care, pick a niche, pick a market, pick a segment, pick whatever category that you're in, there is a competitor of yours right now who is using this technology or technology like this to outcompete you. So you've got a choice. You get to decide, all right, either I'm going to get on I'm going to jump in, I'm going to use the internet, like when the internet became a thing, or you're going to be a stick in the mud and try to do it the old way, but you're not going to be doing it for long. I can tell you that right now. And it's not a matter of replacing yourself. That's the other thing. We look at AI as a tool. Like, the computer doesn't replace you. If you're an artist, Photoshop doesn't replace you. If you are a writer, if you are a creative in any way, shape, or form, your phone, your typing, your word processing program, the technology, your iPad, the tools that you use. If you're a photographer, the camera doesn't replace you as the photographer. It's a tool that you use to accelerate, to expand, to reach more people in a faster and better way. So to bring our conversation full circle, AI, the output is only as good as the input. And the input is only as good as not only the technology that you're using, but the ideas that you have in between your minds. I'm a big believer in that we're not going to be replaced anytime soon by AI in the same way that computers aren't replacing work that's being done, but it's a tool that we all need to learn how to wield and a tool that we all need to learn how to use.
No, I completely agree. It's this famous quote: you will not be replaced by AI, but you will be replaced by someone leveraging AI the right way. And I use this a lot, even on the page, to sign up to summits and stuff, like for this AI series we are doing. But something people might be wondering, we've talked a lot about this AI powered client getting strategy, but what in the way you see it, because you get a lot of data from Bucket, what are the top ways to actually generate this traffic, I would say, like to get the clients? Like, what ways I guess the lead generation to actually get them to sign up for something if you have the messaging dialed in?
Great question. So I'm going to answer that in two ways. Everything that we've talked about, message coming from your market, not from your mind, applies to the content that you're putting out there in the world. So you need to be discovered. That's the bottom line. No matter what business you're in, you need to be discovered. How do people discover you? They discover you in several different ways. If you've got a physical business, a physical storefront, people discover you because they're walking down the street, they're driving down the street, and they say, hey, what's that place? There's a sign right there. No matter what business you're in, you need to be discovered. And if you have an online business, an online presence, people will discover you based on their current user behavior. Where are they spending time right now? Now, at the time of this conversation, and this has been true for the last several years, there are a small handful of places that people consistently spend their time online in a disproportionate way. So one of those places is search engines, namely Google, and the second biggest search engine, YouTube. So this is where we go. This is where you go. This is where I go. This is where people go. They go to places like YouTube because they want to be entertained. They want to be educated. So people go to a place like YouTube to find out information about a topic, right? They look for iPhone reviews or what is the best iPhone case? And they look on a place like YouTube. So that's a place where you can be discovered. How do you get discovered on YouTube? You need to have a YouTube video, and you're an expert at this, a YouTube video that meets people where they're at, that addresses the challenges, desires, frustrations that they specifically have. How do you ensure that your YouTube video meets people where they're at? Your message should come from your market and not from your mind. So the language you use in your YouTube video, the title of your YouTube video, the description of your YouTube video shouldn't be something that you painstakingly try to figure out on your own. It should echo back the language that your market is already using right now, so that when they do a search on YouTube and they type in a certain phrase, your video comes up answering that very specific question or problem. So YouTube is a great example of where we're having a tremendous amount of success in terms of being discovered, both organically and with paid traffic. So you can pay to get in front of people on YouTube, and you can also create free organic content. Next, as much as we might think the world has changed, it hasn't changed in a major way in terms of social media. So the big 800-pound gorilla in social media today, still, despite the rise of TikTok and some of these other upstart platforms, is Facebook, the Meta set of platforms. Meta, of course, includes Instagram. It includes all the Facebook and related platforms. When we look at Meta and Google, Google, of course, owns YouTube. The Google and Meta platforms, the family of those platforms, still represents north of 80% of all originating traffic. What that means is if someone's going to eventually get to your website, your business, 80% of the searches, 80% of the paths begin with one of those two things. So I think people are always looking for what's the nook and cranny that I should focus on over here? What's the weird, obscure website that I should be focused on being discovered on? 80%. Think about that. 8 out of 10 people on the planet who might discover you and your business are starting their searches, are starting their browsing behavior, are originating from one of those two places. So that's where we focus. We focus on the 80-20. We focus on the 80% of traffic that exists in the world in those places. We use AI to come up with our ad copy. We use AI to come up with our video scripts. We use AI to come up with the content that we're going to be writing about. But we combine that with our own human creativity. So we're not just using Bucket as a way to just blindly create ads and videos. We're using it as a tool to give us ideas, and then we add a personal spin. We ensure that it's consistent with our brand voice. So those are some of the places that we're both having the most success with right now in our business, and where we are advising our clients and customers who are having success as well.
No, this is great. And of course, to generate the leads to get them to sign up. I saw actually before we went on to this session, I saw that you have been doing more on YouTube. And you don't need like a huge channel to actually get success from a platform like this. It's just about being specific. I didn't have the biggest channel, but I draw a lot of people for you. I mean, as an affiliate, even for Stu and yourself and things like that. I've sent a lot of people just from a video that we did. I did a few videos, and then they have generated very targeted traffic, or even for my own things I did the virtual events and virtual summits, right? Just very specific things. And I see that you are doing that as well on that platform. And then you might be sending them to a webinar or a quiz, which you're all about, right? And that's how you're getting quality leads. I think still is quiz funnels there. That's the favorite lead generation method for you guys, right? You're still using that a lot, I see.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We talk about this kind of in-channel, which is the first place. So going in-channel, you want to be where people are already at. If you're relying on a sign for your restaurant, and your restaurant is in some back road in the middle of nowhere, no one's ever going to discover that restaurant. You need to put a sign. People are already traveling. The online equivalent is Facebook, YouTube. This is where people are already spending their time. So make sure that your sign is there. But then eventually you want someone to come and check out your restaurant. A sign is not enough. An ad, a post is not enough on social media or a video on YouTube. You want to get people into your world, but you don't want to try to get them to marry you before they've even decided if they want to give you a chance. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to take them down a path, which is one that involves a set of micro commitment steps. You don't go from, hey, how did you enjoy my YouTube video? To, would you like to sign up as a $10,000 client? There's steps that need to take place in between. It's too much too soon. So we are huge fans, and I've been for many, many, many years, of using the power of a quiz funnel. So imagine having a YouTube video where you're saying, like, this would be for your business. Let's brainstorm it right now for one of your businesses, right? Might say, as an example, hi, my name is Navid, and I've been helping creatives reach more of their audience for years using the power of virtual summits. I love virtual summits for so many different reasons. And I've got this free assessment to help you determine if a virtual summit might be right for you. By the way, there are 5 different types of virtual summits, and people often wondering what type of virtual summit makes the most sense for my business based on where I'm at right now. So I put together this free quiz that you can take right now by just clicking the link below this video. Go ahead and click this link. You'll get not only what your best virtual summit format is right for you, but I'll also give you a free roadmap that walks you through how to set it up step by step and what your next step should be. So go ahead and do that now, and I'll see you in just a moment on the other side. It's like super risk-free. I'm not selling anything. There's nothing to buy. I'm offering a ton of value, or you're offering a ton of value. If I'm watching a video about virtual summits, which is content that by nature of watching it, the person has raised their hand and said, I'm interested in virtual summits because I've clicked on this YouTube video about virtual summits and I'm watching the guy who's like godfather of virtual summits right here. So of course I want to do that. So then you get people to take your quiz, and then the quiz tells you so much. You can ask question after question in your quiz. So you can get to know, where are they at in their business right now? What's the size of their business? What type of market are they in? What are they looking to sell? And with all that information, you gather that information that helps you better sell and better serve. So then you can put them in front of maybe the best webinar. Maybe you've got 3 different webinars that you might put together. And depending on a person's situation, you might show them webinar 1, webinar 2, webinar 3. Or maybe you've got a podcast and you've got maybe a whole bunch of different interviews that you've done. And you might want to recommend the right podcast interview based on the one that you think would be most relevant for that person in their situation. Or if you've got a blog, you've written a bunch of different blog articles over the years, you might want to say, you know what, I really think you would benefit from this article right here. Or if you're an affiliate marketer and you sell different products, like you and I were just talking about before we hopped on live, I was asking you for advice. I was saying, like, what camera should I get for my setup? Perfect example for a quiz. Doing a virtual summit, trying to figure out what camera is right for you. Take this free quiz, and you as an affiliate marketer can put your affiliate link in front of those different quiz options. And these are just ideas that we're brainstorming now in like seconds. You could have a dozen quizzes. You could have 50 assessments for
And with
all these
AI,
different.
Ryan, I'm sure inside the bucket, you can do this a lot faster now. Because creating quiz funnels is a little bit overwhelming for people. There's a lot of things that goes into it, especially if you're going to do a full-blown quiz. But we can showcase. I saw you are excited about this. I just pulled this up for you.
So this will blow your mind. So take a look at this. We just take a look at a few different examples. Let's do this for a quiz.
Yeah.
So quiz, again, how would you describe your role? I'm just going to go fast. I'm going to say real estate investment advisor. This is just help language to go through this process if you end up going through it yourself. That's a little safety. Let's say residential real estate investing. Let's take a look at this one right here. I'm just doing this to copy and paste. Ideal client. I'm going to take the same ideal customer that we just looked at a moment ago. The married couple in their 20s and 30s looking to invest in real estate property. Okay. What's the next step that you want people to take on the back of the quiz? We talked about one example, right? So one example might be to attend a webinar. Maybe you're using your quiz to buy a product, like you're going to recommend the right camera. Maybe you want to use a quiz to build your email list. You want to do an email newsletter where you're
What kind do you usually use? What's the method you typically use for your business currently?
We often, and this is just because of our business and the way that we sell, we will often go a quiz to some type of webinar or presentation. And the reason for that,
I've seen that with your funnels now. You have on the thank you page, you have something else. Usually you have maybe a sign up for this. So that makes sense.
because a quiz is like a 60-second commitment. It takes 60 seconds to go through a quiz. If I want to get someone to the next step, the next kind of commitment I'm looking for someone to make is like 60 minutes. I want them to spend 60 minutes with me where I can do a bit of education, do maybe a bit of teaching, a bit of selling, and then invite them to that next step. So let's say the topic of the quiz is residential real estate investing. This is by no means a finite list of options. These are just a few different examples, right? So I'm going to do residential real estate investing. Okay, what's the hook for your quiz? The first thing that every good quiz needs to have is a compelling hook, the thing that gets people excited about taking the quiz. You can't just say like, take my quiz. Like it's got to be something exciting. Like what virtual summit path is right for you? Or the one that we were talking about a moment ago, which digital camera is right for your studio, is right for your budget? What's the best digital camera for your budget based on your needs? Take this assessment to
And
find out.
Ryan, so many YouTubers that like think media, so whatever, they have huge YouTube channels and or like even smaller creators. They could use this to get a lot more affiliate sales, but because their audience might be confused, they don't know what they are gonna sign up for with all these Amazon affiliate links.
Every market. Think about, so like right now, for anybody watching this right now, what are the top 5 questions that people ask you for advice on in your market? Just whatever comes to mind right away. I'm sure you have yours, right? I'm sure one of them is like, what camera should I use? The question that I asked you, right? What questions come up? Every single one of those questions, if you just brainstorm it like micro, fast style, right lightning style right now, are candidates for a quiz. So I'm just going to take this one right here for the example that we're looking at, quiz. What type of residential investor are you? And I'm just going to scroll down a little bit further. I'm going to take this as my thing and I'm going to click save and continue. Okay, great. What are the buckets for your quiz? So every good quiz should put people into one of several buckets. So we want to ultimately categorize people so we can say, oh, you're this type of person. This would be the solution for you. This is the best article. This is the best product. This is the best next step. Now, you might be saying, what if you only have one thing that you sell? What if you're only selling a single thing? A quiz gives you the opportunity to reposition that one thing as the right solution. For example, if you're advocating in your business, Navid, for a virtual summit is right for you, no matter what situation you might be in. In fact, take this quiz to find out if a virtual summit is right for you. Virtual summits are great for different people in different situations, right? If I'm looking to launch a new product, you could probably make a case that a virtual summit is a great way to do that. Oops, let me hit the refresh button right here. A virtual summit is a great way to do that. If you are an author and you're looking to launch a new book, a virtual summit might be the perfect opportunity to do that. If you are, let's say, you've got an existing business and you want to just grow that business further, a virtual summit could be great for you.
And if you're
So
a
you can
new business, like something I was doing for the AI summit, I just told you this in the pre-chat before this. I told you I have some connections with yourself, Stu, other ones in the marketing space I've known for years, but I didn't know anyone before. A lot of people on the summit, I didn't know them, so I had to go out and meet new people. So a summit is great for just connecting with a lot of people quickly. I think that's one of it's a hidden benefit a little bit. People think only about the revenue and leads, but I think that's one of the things I'm excited about for anyone, because this is like leverage in your business to know a lot of people. Yeah.
Totally. Perfect. Now, speaking of leverage, I'm a big believer in decoupling your income from your time. Like just as a general idea, this is like a big picture idea. I define leverage in the context that we're talking about right now is in a way where you are decoupling your income from your time. You're disconnecting the time that you are spending from the income that you generate. So if you are a coach or consultant and you get paid on an hourly basis, you get paid $100 an hour or $500 an hour, $1,000 an hour, it doesn't really matter what your hourly rate is. The only way that you get paid is if you show up and work. Leverage is all about earning money while you sleep, having a business that continues to generate cash for you, even if you decide to take a week off or take a month to travel or just not show up one day. That is what leverage is all about. One of the most effective ways to generate leverage in your life is using the power of technology, using the power of AI. So here's an example. We're brainstorming a quiz. What are we calling this thing? What type of residential investor are you? And you can see right here, AI is brainstorming some different possibilities for buckets. So we've got different bucket names. We've got the visionary, the analytical, the risk taker, the strategist. So the rationale here, and AI is doing all of this thinking for you. Again, this is not something that you can do with ChatGPT.
Is this based on what you have done? I'm just curious because I know you have done a lot of these quizzes. So these kind of what you call them, like it's a little bit difficult to come up with these names sometimes and brainstorm. So this is basically something you have seen that works well to be curiosity driven. People will be more excited about it and things like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is leveraging. So this is fed. What we've trained this model with are the most successful quizzes that have been built on the platform. Now, this isn't taking any one quiz and saying, oh, this quiz was very successful, take this one. What
Yeah.
it's doing, it's the amalgamation of the lessons that we've learned in terms of the number of buckets, how those buckets are framed, the way in which these buckets are positioned, as an example. So here's one. So idea number one, visionary, analytical, risk taker, strategist. The rationality, this represents different types of residential investors based on their approach to real estate investing. So this is one way that you could put people to different buckets. What type of investor are you? Take this assessment to find out now. Are you a visionary? Are you the analytical investor? Are you the risk taker, the strategist? And what they do is basically a way to categorize people based on how they tend to approach and see investments. Here's another idea, totally different idea for a quiz. This is based on, so equity builder, cash flow investor, value hunter. This is based on the different investment strategies or goals that an individual might have. So this is now based on what their objective is. Are you looking to build equity? Are you looking to generate free cash flow? Are you looking for value opportunities? This is a way to recategorize people based on what their investment goals are. Here we go. Idea number three. We've got the starter, the expander, the diversifier. These bucket names represent different stages of real estate investments. This is another way to look at where someone's in your market. You can look at where they are in terms of their level of experience, the skill and background that they have. So we've got people who are brand new as investors, people who are looking to maybe expand their knowledge base, and people who are now looking to maybe diversify into something new. So that's idea number three. This is based on risk profile, right? So we've got a conservative, moderate, aggressive. These bucket names represent different risk profiles. So these are just possibilities. You could create 4 different quizzes with 4 different ideas, as an example. And so the next step in the process is I would then choose one of these, or I could create my own. You're not limited to what AI is suggesting here, but we would continue to go down this path, Navid, where we enter our buckets. And then we would actually, from those buckets, come up with the questions that we ask in the quiz to actually determine what questions we're going to ask to be able to, just like a doctor, diagnose and prescribe a person's situation, capture their contact information. And then after the quiz, this is where things get really, really exciting. And I'm just going to, in the interest of time here, I'm going to take a look at one of these. It's a little bit further along.
Yes, a question on this, because I know you have pages and stuff like that in Bucket. When you're putting in this information, does it automatically populate the copy, or you need to add the copy to the pages?
I think it's interesting. Imagine where you're doing the brainstorming work right here, and this content with a push of a button gets automatically populated into the pages themselves. And not just the pages, my friend, but actually automatically creating the quiz reports that people get. So based on your quiz results, here's a PDF that has your results.
No way.
You are the author. What analyzer actually means. You can see just like
that's crazy. So it gives you the PDF and the outcome pages and everything basically is done, but based on this kind of, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Just imagine that getting automatically populated in the page. So
that's
what it does is it takes this concept. So I think many people, when they see this concept, they get it. They're like, okay, this totally makes sense. Instead of trying to sell to everybody in the same way on my website, it totally makes sense to ask a few questions, which is the cornerstone of the ask method. Like, ask a few questions to understand a situation so you can recommend the best. Like, conceptually, theoretically, that makes perfect sense. I totally buy into the philosophy of that. But how do I actually do it? Because I'm a one-woman band. I'm a one-man show. It's just me. I don't have a team. How do I actually get all that done? And what the team at Bucket has been working incredibly hard at is making it so that in literally just a few pushes of a button, a few clicks of a mouse, like we've been going through right now, all that work is done for you, so that all you need to do is just deploy that asset in your business without having to create every single one of those elements yourself. So this is what I wish existed 20 years ago when I came into this.
I wish it existed too. Even Bucket 2 was not like this. You have Bucket 2. I need to get started with Bucket 3. That's pretty exciting. But I'm sure this also is for the email copy, everything. You can use like for the emails, everything basically. We just we're gonna work to wrap up this one, but it's been really exciting to see, and I think you have over delivered a lot to showcase. Even though we showed a lot inside Bucket, I think just the concepts are like works whatever you do, right? And you can go, as we said, ChatGPT is gonna take forever to do some of these things. In Bucket, it's just quickly, and you have already trained the kind of the model and molded this kind of AI which you're working with, and the prompts and stuff you have already given it to actually give really great output when you're answering these questions. I think that's what I'm really excited about, to just make it easier for creators, hybrid experts, and people like ourselves. Yeah,
Totally. It's been a lot of fun, and
yeah.
this scratches the surface, and I'm so
Just
excited for where things are headed.
Just two more questions, Ryan. So, what's your number one piece of advice you would give to someone who's watching this creator, entrepreneur? They're running like creator style businesses, creating a lot of content. If they're going to get started with implementing AI in their business, maybe they are just dabbling with it right now.
Yeah, I would say this is something that we teach all of our clients. It's this concept 1-1-1. You need one way to attract, one way to enroll, one way to deliver. That's it. So when you're in the sea of experts and you're spending a lot of time in a lot of different places, it feels like you need to do all the things. I need a LinkedIn profile. I need a Facebook profile. I need a YouTube page. I need TikTok. I need all of these different things. But all you really need, especially in the early days of your business, is one way to attract. So pick one thing and that's it. Just double down on that one thing. Next up is one way to enroll. You need one way to, when I say enroll, you need a one way to convert that traffic into a paying customer. One way, that's it. In my world, the one way to attract oftentimes is a quiz, one way to attract people into the world. One way to enroll is a webinar, some type of enrollment presentation where you're able to do some education, teach people a little bit about what it is that you know, and then move people into that next step, which is presumably to buy your product or service. Speaking of product or service, one way to deliver is one way to deliver results. Don't fall into the trap that many micro early stage businesses fall into, which is where they think, I'm going to sell a whole bunch of different stuff. It's too early to do that. If you focused on one thing, if you said, you know what, I'm just going to do Facebook to a quiz into a webinar, and I'm going to sell my one coaching package. That's it. 1-1-1. One way to attract, one way to enroll, one way to deliver. That is the recipe for a 6 or even 7-figure business. You don't have to do all the things. So pick one and double down on that one approach.
Yeah, for sure. And just finally, was there any question you wished I asked you, but I didn't ask, or any final words of wisdom, Ryan?
The last words of wisdom that I'll share is something I share with all of our clients. And it's that you don't have to get it perfect. You just have to get it going. But the best time to get it going is right here, right now, today. So don't put it off. Don't procrastinate. Take one thing. My advice to you would be this: the micro commitment. I'd invite everyone who's been part of this program here today would be to take one idea that you've written down, one thing that's sticking out in your mind. Don't try to do all the things that we've talked about here today. What is your one next step, the micro commitment next step that you're going to take, and take action on this today? Don't procrastinate. Don't wait 15 minutes. Don't say, oh, I'll do it tonight when the kids are in bed. Do it right now. Take 5 minutes to take that first micro action right now. And then once you've done that, do the next thing and the next thing. And that's the path to move yourself forward in your business. And that is what I would wrap with.
Great final words, Ryan. And this has been a totally awesome session. I've really enjoyed it. And I'm sure if you're watching this, your mind is as blown as mine. We have covered a lot throughout this session about this AI-powered client getting strategy and what you can do today to get started with AI, and how Ryan thinks about developing his irresistible offers, quiz funnels, and a whole lot more. And be sure to check out Bucket if you're interested to see this kind of in action and actually start playing around with it. I'll drop a link in the description. And Ryan and I, we have done a lot of content in the past when it comes to quiz funnels and the ask method and the whole methodology he's teaching, which you can find as well in the description to check it out. And if you have any questions or takeaways, do leave it in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe for more and like the video. And I'll see you in the next one. Ciao for now. Bye.